Hello, welcome back to LK Tuition. I'm Lucas and today we're going to be looking at operations in standard form. So there is another video on standard form. If you've not seen it, it's about turning ordinary numbers into standard form and vice versa. So definitely check that out if you've not already. But otherwise, today we're going to be looking at timesing numbers in standard form together, dividing them and also adding and subtracting and when we can do that. But let's get cracking. Okay, so first we're going to be looking at multiplying numbers in standard form. Now, first of all, remember the index rule or the power rule that says you can multiply powers of the same number together by simply adding up the powers. And we can use that to multiply the standard form numbers below. So for example, if we wanted to times 2 times 10 to the 4 times 4 times 10 to the 5, we can rearrange this a bit. So we're just doing them in a different order. So 2 times 4, bringing those numbers together and bringing the powers of 10 together. 10 to the 4 times 10 to the 5. Now 2 times 4 is 8, and we can add up these powers of 10. So it's 10 to the 4 plus 5, which is 9. Okay. Now, one thing to note is that sometimes when you multiply numbers in standard form, you'll actually end up with a number that's not in standard form that you'll need to adjust. So for example, this one here, so we've got 6 times 10 to the 3 times 4 times 10 to the 9. So again, rearrange it a bit. So we've got 6 times 4, and then we've got 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 9. Now what we end up with is 24 times 10 to the 12. Now that's correct, but it's not in standard form because this 24, that number should be between 1 and 10. So what we do is we look at where the decimal point is. There's a decimal point there, but it should be there for it to be in standard form. So that means that 2.4 would have to be times by an extra 10 to get to 24. So instead of 10 to the 12, we just add 1 to the power to make it 10 to the 13. Okay, so let's just have a go at timesing a few together. There's 3 questions for you to have a go at. Good luck, and pause the video, have a go, and then we'll do them together. Okay, so let's just do question 1 to start with then. So again, we can just rearrange these so we've got the normal numbers together. So 3 times 2 times 10 to the 6 times 10 to the 10. So this is going to be 3 times 2 is 6, and we can add these powers. 6 plus 10 is 16, and that's in standard form because 6 is between 1 and 10. Next one then, we can arrange this again. So this is going to be 7.1 times 5 times 10 to the 21 times 10 to the minus 6. So just rearranging it there. Then this can be, so let's just go up this way. So 7.1 times 5 is going to be 35.5. And then 10 to the 21 times 10 to the minus 6, add them up. 21 plus minus 6 is 10 to the power of 15. Okay, but again, this is not in standard form because this decimal point makes this bigger than 10. So we want to move this there. So instead of 35.5, it'll be 3.55. And so we'll have to, because we moved it 1, we'll have to add 1 to our answer in the power of 10. Okay, and then the final one, we've got 3 numbers here, but we can just split this up into the normal numbers and the powers of 10. So this is going to be 7 times 2 times 8 times 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 9 times 10 to the 12. If we times the numbers together, 7 times, well, let's do 7 times 8 first. So 7 times 8 is 56, and 56 times 2 is 112. So this is 112 times, and then if we add these powers up, 3 plus 9 is 12, 12 plus 12 is 24. So 10 to the 24. Now, our decimal point is here, but to get this between 1 and 10, we want to move it 1 and 2. So this is going to be 1.12 times 10. Now I moved it 2 places, so I want to add 2 to this. So it's 10 to the 26. Okay, so those are times in standard form numbers together. Now let's have a look at dividing if it'll let me. So dividing numbers in standard form. So we'll remember the other index rule now that says you can divide powers of the same number together by simply subtracting the powers. Okay, so let's just use a rule to do this. Now let's have a look at this. We just got to be a little bit careful of what's happening here. Now let's just, so there's just a little typo here, so that should be times like that. Okay, so we've got 9 times 10 to the 4 divided by 3 times 10 to the 1. Now what can happen with this? We can move it around a little bit by having the divide 9 divided by 3 times 10 to the 4 divided by 10 to the 1. So it's, you just kind of have to go with me on this one. I might look at this in a different video, but we're bringing the numbers together dividing, we're timesing by the 10 powers of 10 dividing. Okay, and then 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 10 to the 4 divided by 10 to the 1, we just minus them to get 10 to the 3, and that's our answer. Okay, so let's just have a go at some questions then. So again, pause, have a crack at them, and then we'll see how we get on. Okay, so the first one then, we've got 8 times 10 to the 6 divided by 2 times 10 to the power of 10. So again, we can change this to 8 divided by 2 times 10 to the 6 divided by 10 to the 10. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 6 take away 10 is minus 4. So it's 4 times 10 to the minus 4, and that's in standard form. Okay, the next one then. So this is going to be 2 divided by 8 times 10 to the 21 divided by 10 to the minus 6. Well, 2 divided by 8 is going to be 0.25 times 10 to the 21 minus 6 is 21 plus 6, which is 10 to the 27. Now then, this time we've got a decimal point here, but we want it between 1 and 10, so let's move it to there. So this is 2.5 times 10. Now this would be divided by 10, so we take away 1 from this, so 10 to the 26, and that's the answer to that one. Okay, and then finally we've got it in fraction form, but that's the same as what we've been doing, so that's the same as 3.5 divided by 7 times 10 to the 8 divided by 10 to the 3. Now 3.5, that's half of 7, so this is going to be 0.5 times 10 to the 8 minus 3 is 5. And then again, this is not between 1 and 10, so we want our decimal here, which would move it 1 place. So this is 5 times 10, and we take 1 away to the 4. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. All right, now adding and subtracting numbers in standard form. Well, the only way we can do this is if the powers of 10 are the same. Otherwise, you'd have to turn it into a normal number and then add them. But if they are the same, so for instance, 7.2 times 10 squared plus 1.6 times 10 squared, you can just bring those numbers out together and have them all times 10 squared. So this is 7.2 plus 1.6 times 10 squared, which is 8.8 times 10 squared. So this only works if these powers match. Okay, so a couple of examples of this then. Feel free to have a crack at them yourself. The first one, we've got 2.3 times 10 to the minus 10 plus 1.8 times 10 to the minus 10. So that is the same as 2.3 plus 1.8 times 10 to the minus 10. Add them up, you're going to get 4.1 times 10 to the minus 10. Okay, next one. We've got 4.3 times 10 to the 30 minus 4 times 10 to the 30. So this is going to be 4.3 minus 4 times 10 to the 30, which is going to be 0.3 times 10 to the 30. But again, I'm noticing that this is not in standard form. The decimal point should be there. So this is going to be 3 times 10. Well, to get from there to there, we divide by 10. So take 1 off, 10 to the 29. Okay, and then finally we've got kind of a three-way one here, but we can do this all the same. So this is 7 plus 8 minus 4 times 10 to the 3. 7 plus 8 is 15. 15 minus 4 is 11. So this is 11 times 10 to the 3, or 1.1 times 10 to the 4. Okay, and then just finish off with some worded questions then. Okay, so number 1, so a penny has mass 0.0036 kilograms. Find the total mass of £400 worth of pennies. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to put them in standard form to start with. Okay, so a penny has a mass of 0.0036. Well, let's write this in standard form. We would want the decimal point to be there. So that has moved 1, 2, 3 places. So this is 3.6 times 10 to the minus 3. So that's the first one. Now we're going to times that by however many pennies we've got. So times. Now we want to have 400 in terms of pennies, but £400 is going to be the same as 40,000 pennies. Yeah, so you just times it by 100. And then we want our decimal point to be here. And there was an invisible one there, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4 times 10 to the power of 2, 3. How many do we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, times 10 to the 4. Okay, and then we just do what we've been doing. So we can bring the normal numbers together. So 3.6 times 4 times 10 to the minus 3 times 10 to the 4. And then 3.6 times 4 is going to be 14.4, I think, times 10 to the 1. Okay, now it doesn't say to give this in standard form, but we can or we can't. So you couldn't just times this by 10, so this is just going to be 144 kilograms. Or in standard form, this would be 1.44 times 10 to the 2 kilograms. Okay, let's have a look at one final question. So number 2, so in 2017, Cristiano Ronaldo had 1.36 times 10 to the power of 8 Instagram followers. In 2022, he's now got 4.51 times 10 to the 8 followers. How many more followers does he have now than in 2017? Give your answer in standard form. Well, we can take away, can't we? Because these powers are the same. So we can find out how much Cristiano has improved his followers over the past 5 years. So this is going to be 4.51 times 10 to the 8 minus 1.36 times 10 to the 8. And now we can just bring the minuses together. So this is 4.51 minus 1.36 times 10 to the 8. And then if we do this takeaway, this is going to be 3.15, I think. Yeah, times 10 to the 8. And then want our answer in standard form. So that's how many more followers he's managed to get. Good on him. All right. So that is the end of that operations in standard form. We're using the power rules to times them together, to divide them together, and if they match, we can add and take away as well. So this has been LK Tuition. I hope you found this useful. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon for some more maths videos.